Hello everyone, this is Marshall Official. This is going to be my second to last election prediction for the 2024 presidential election. It's been a good long road. I started this, in late August, but this is going to be my second to last one for this. And tomorrow I will be making my mega update where I will include everything, like everything I can possibly find, all the polls, recent elections, previous elections, Atlas's poll, their big breakdown and all that. I'll be definitely including that, considering that the margin of error, overestimation of Democrats, whatever, everything you can think of, I will be considering in my mega final prediction. This is just gonna be a regular prediction as usual. My second to last one, and we are of course gonna start out in the national polling averages. But before we begin, I'd love to first point out the fact that we are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. If we can hit 1,000 subscribers before midnight, November 4th and November 5th, I will guarantee you guys that full analysis video on the election for whoever wins. I will point out how they did it, what happened, what states they won, and everything. From beginning of election night to the end of election night, I will point out the whole thing. I'll get out for you guys as fast as possible. Again, as long as we just get 1,000 subscribers. And once again, this is going to be a shout to the Press Start to Begin podcast here on YouTube. Brand new YouTube channel. They make podcasts about the rise of video games and your classic video games like Mario. They literally just released one today about Mario. So if you guys have interest in the history of video games and the rise of video games and how the video games that you guys love today came to be known, then go watch those guys. They're just for you. Thank you guys for listening. Go give them some love and support and subscribers. They really deserve it. And with that, let's now get into this video. So, starting up here with the national polling average, we can see here, this is bad news for Kamala Harris. Now, this did go down just a little bit. It was 0.3 before, but it did go down a little bit. But, nevertheless, look at where it was in 2020. Biden led by 7.2 percentage points in 2020. He barely won that election. Clinton was ahead by 1.8, and she lost that election. So, the fact that Harris is losing the national polling average is horrible, because that means she's on track to lose the popular vote. And if a Democrat loses the popular vote, it's over. Democrats are well known that for winning the popular vote, they can win the popular vote and still lose the election. It happens all the time, or not all the time, but the point is that Democrats can win the popular vote. They're always expected to win the popular vote, but that can happen, and they can still end up losing the election. Now, that happens. It happened in 2016, for example. But at the same time, however, when a Republican is ahead in the national polling average, then that means there's probably a good chance that they're going to win, because Republicans, they just don't tend to win the popular vote. But if Trump does, it's not going to look good for this election. And Donald Trump is, at least right now, slim lead on the polling average for the popular vote nationally. Bad news for Kamala Harris. You can see here, Emerson has it as high. Emerson, that's a left-wing poll service, but they're also quite good. Atlas Intel, and I give special privilege to Atlas because just how great they are. They also have a massive sample. That's one of the biggest samples on here, not the biggest. But you can see you also have this one and this one down here. These two are bigger. This one's a full 8,000 people. That's a good sample. Harris ahead by 2 percentage points, but this one has Trump ahead by 2 percentage points. And overall, it fluctuates, but overall, Trump is still leading by this slim margin. And again, I give special privilege to Atlas, and they have Trump winning the popular vote by a full 2 percentage points. If he wins popular vote by 2 percentage points, it's over. The election's over, because his chance of winning will go up so ridiculously high. But yeah, so that's the national popular vote. But here, this is even more important. Right here we have the top battleground states. This is the popular vote for the battleground states as a whole. We can see here Donald Trump is winning these states as well. He's ahead by 1 percentage point for the popular vote in the battleground states. That is horrible news for Kamala Harris. You can see here he took over the lead from her late September, and ever since then he maintained his lead and just continued to grow and grow and grow. To now he's a full percentage point ahead of Kamala Harris in the battleground state popular vote. So now coming back to our map, we are going to of course start filling out the map with all the states we know are going to be going to one side or the other. So let's do that right now. Alright, so after doing all of that, this is what you're left with. After filling in all of these likely and solid states, you can see Kamala Harris does hold a lead with 3 electoral votes over Donald Trump's 196. And also, you may notice, I did not already fill out Iowa, which I usually do. Ohio, I will also be going over that, because I'm going to be going over Ohio because that's where the running mate is from. So I just figured I might as well go over it. Iowa, I will also be going over. And things got a little bit interesting in Iowa. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's start off where we usually start. That is with Nevada. Let's go to Nevada now. So here in Nevada, we do see here that we did get a poll from the New York Times that has Harris by 3 percentage points. I also do want to point this out that these might be our last polls. Like we might not get any brand new polls from today or from the 3rd, because like today the 4th or the 3rd, it doesn't matter, because usually the 2nd is when you get your last poll. There's usually not any more polls after the 2nd. That's usually it. Once you get to the 2nd, that's it. No more polls. We might get one, maybe not. This is why tomorrow night I might make my last video for the election tomorrow night on the 4th. But I probably maybe might make a video, a short one, a really quick one for the morning. Like the morning of the 5th, as when polls are open, but like they haven't started like making their predictions yet, which they do in the evening. Maybe I might consider it if we get anything that's brand new, and like any new polls whatsoever from any state. Really, I might consider it. Or no, actually, I'll probably just do a short. I'll make a short video, probably the 5th, like in the morning, maybe. If it's worth it, I'll do it. But like, probably not though. Just saying that most likely tomorrow night will be it for this election. It's all that's to be the last you hear from me and then we'll see what happens on election night itself. So just put it out there. I might do that, but chances are I probably won't. But I'll consider it. And also, speaking of New York Times, we got a very interesting news about this latest New York Times poll from all the battleground states. Long story short, this is a dirty poll, and I had some good respect for the New York Times up until now. I'm probably, what it is that most of their polls up until now were pretty good polls. Not these ones. These are bad. These are dirty polls. The news basically went around that these polls were mostly filled with Democrats. So these are actually a majority Democrat polls. And they admitted it, and they knew it, and they still released the poll. It was actually on Fox News. Fox News was actually talking about this poll and how it was wrong. They actually brought a guy on who knows the New York Times, and he admitted that yes, he said how he knew that this New York Times poll was fake. Basically, it was not fake, but it was an overestimation. He admits that he knows there was an overestimate of Democrats because this New York Times poll was mostly Democrats. They polled a majority of Democrats. It was not a fair poll. They knew it was skewed. They knew it was leaning towards Democrats. I should say intentionally. They knew that it overestimated Democrats, but they released the poll anyway. So the New York Times poll, I'm not gonna completely ignore it, but at the same time, that's bad. It's bad for the New York Times. It's a bad look for them, that's for sure. And it shows you. It shows clear as day that even the New York Times, which I had a lot of respect for the New York Times, not a lot of respect. I knew they were very liberal, and they always overestimate Democrats. But at least you could somewhat rely on them somewhat at least. Now this newest poll just clearly shows that you can't. So basically, we can't rely on any of the newest New York Times polls from any of these states because it was basically released today that these polls are completely skewed. And they know it's skewed, and they released it anyways. That's what the story was on Fox News about these polls. What also came out today was more news about Atlas Intel, and how they were more accurate and more neutral on this. They did correctly do their poll, and these are the results they correctly got. So, obviously it's still an estimation. A poll is an estimation. You can't be exact. It's hard to be exactly correct with the polls. But what the story that we got today was, New York Times polls, unreliable, don't listen to them. Atlas's polls are reliable. And just like I've been saying, I always talking about how Atlas is always the best to listen to, and what the news we got today only solidified that. So Atlas, good. This New York Times poll, specifically this poll, their newest one, is bad. Like maybe some of these older New York Times polls were not that bad. Like I don't know, from God knows how long ago, wherever there's an Atlas or wherever there's a New York Times poll, like way back here, from what is that, August? Yeah, from August. Maybe those polls weren't so bad, but these newest polls, specifically these brand new polls, they're bad. Basically, they overestimated Democrats. They polled mostly Democrats, and they still released the poll anyways. I'm repeating myself. I couldn't get over that when I saw that news story. So, anyways, not gonna be listening to this poll. Not gonna be listening to it at all. Maybe a little bit. Like maybe this is like 1%, but it's a bad poll. Atlas got it right, and they're the ones to listen to, as I've been saying. And it was literally on the news today. So. Well, just with that, we're going to be giving the state of Nevada to Dante with a lean motion. I know I'm really not concerned by at this point about my decision about Nevada. I was concerned before, not so much anymore. I could still be wrong. We'll see. But let's of course now go to Arizona. All right, here in Arizona, we have this dumb CNN poll down here. Arizona is literally right off at this point. I mean, even the New York Times in their newest poll that they said not to listen to has Trump ahead by 4 percentage points. Meanwhile, Atlas over here, they have Trump ahead by 6 percentage points in this state. Insider Advantage, another left-leaning poll, has Trump ahead by 4 percentage points. Rasmussen Reports has it 2. Trafalgar Group has it as a full on 8. So he leads in the polling average by 2.6 percentage points. So this state is definitely going to go Donald Trump. There's just no question about it. It's going to be a lean Republican state. It might even be a likely state. We'll have to see. But it's definitely going to be at least a lean Republican state. Let's now go to Georgia. And here, again, same thing. Here we go in Georgia. This is this skewed poll that they specifically said, don't listen to this poll. It's a bad poll. And all that, I'm not gonna repeat myself anymore. I just couldn't believe when I saw that news story, but I'm not gonna repeat myself. But again, you guys have the point. I'm not gonna listen to the New York Times polls. Going down here to Atlas's poll, they said Atlas's poll, the best pollsters in the whole world, has Trump ahead by 2 percentage points. Rasmussen has ahead by 5. They lean towards the right. CNN leans towards the left badly. We all know how bad CNN is, but they have Trump ahead by 1 percentage point. Leads in the polling average by 1.9 percentage points. Quinnipiac, a big left-leaning pollster, they have Trump ahead by 6 percentage points. That's crazy. But overall, you can see where these things are leading. Donald Trump will easily take the state of Georgia by also a lean margin. It might also, again, could even be likely. We'll have to see. Let's now go to North Carolina. North Carolina, throw this poll out. It's bad. It's dirty. That poll got rejected today. Going over here to Atlas Intel, over here we see how Atlas has Trump ahead by 4 percentage points in this state. The RSP average has Trump ahead by 1.5 percentage points. Trafalgar Group 3 percentage points. CNN has Harris ahead by 1 percentage point, but CNN is also bad. Terrible sample for CNN. That is a horrible sample for CNN. And Emerson, a left-leaning pollster, they have Trump ahead by 2 percentage points. And even Marist is one of the worst ones. They're not too far from Bloomberg. Marist is one of the worst. They have Trump ahead by 2 percentage points here as well. North Carolina, again, Harris just lost all hope of winning this state. It's going to be also lean Republican. Let's now go to Virginia, where we know, if you saw my last video, we know things are heating up in Virginia big time. Big time heat up in Virginia. Let's go to there now. All right, here in Virginia, this poll, absolutely bullcrap. It's in 2020, Joe Biden won the state by 10 percentage points, which was a big deal because we all know how the Democrats were slowly losing their edge in Virginia. And also over the last 4 years, Virginia, they got a new governor, attorney general, secretary general, the whole thing. They completely just rewrote their government in the 2022 elections, and they are a Republican state when it comes to their state government. So there's a real possibility the state could flip red according to that. And also the fact that the Democrats won the state by 10 percentage points. This is when they were at their best position possible. This is the best position Democrats could have ever asked for. So this was the result of that. But things have changed now. And according to the newest poll we have, Harris leads by only 2 percentage points in this state. So this poll by Christopher Newark University is totally wrong in every way possible. That is ridiculous margin. So is this one, Hill and Emerson, a left-leaning pollster, which but Emerson's usually pretty good, though. I give him that. They have Harris ahead by 8 percentage points, but that's also just too high. Washington Post 6, maybe that could be true. But Rasmussen, this news poll, has ahead by just 2 percentage points. So Virginia could get very competitive. I'm going to give it to Harris by a lean margin still. I think it will be competitive, though. And Trump's chances of winning the state are there. He has a chance of winning this state. So it's getting competitive. It's going to be competitive, a lot more competitive than it was last time. And it will probably still go to Harris, but Trump could win it. If he does, it's already over. If he was to flip this state, the election would already be over for Kamala Harris. So we'll have to see if it can happen, but most likely it will still go to her by a lean margin. Okay, now let's get this whole Iowa thing sorted out. Let's go to Iowa, because something crazy happened in Iowa. Yeah, okay, so here in Iowa, we got this newest poll that we got, Emerson. Before we didn't have any polls, by the way. We had no polls from Iowa whatsoever now, but now we do. Emerson, Trump is ahead by 10% according to this poll. You got this, let's look at this poll right here. Des Moines Register. I don't even know what kind of name that is, but okay. Has Harris ahead by 3 percentage points. No. I'm sorry, no. If you needed any more evidence that shows how Democrats are overestimated, and specifically they're overestimated in these states up here, well, there it is. That is the worst thing I have seen in this entire campaign from start till now. This is... Okay, basically the reason why we know this poll is fake, first of all, in 2020, Joe Biden was supposed to get within 1 percentage point of winning the state in Ohio. Both Ohio and Iowa were supposed to be competitive. They could have. They said that they kept on saying there was a chance Biden might win. Biden might win. He lost it by 8 percentage points. Lost it by 8 percentage points. These states are not competitive. They are strong Republican states. There's just no way that these states are gonna flip to Kamala Harris. That is just simply not going to happen. That is unknown fact that is not going to happen. So no, not true. Not gonna happen. That's first of all. Now, second of all, the reason why this poll is so fake and ridiculous is because if you actually look at it, break it down, if you actually looked it up and saw the poll, you'll realize that the majority of the people in that poll said that their biggest issue was abortion. That was their biggest issue in this poll. The people that were part of this poll said, the vast majority of them said that their number one issue was abortion. Huh. That's a little interesting because if we go ahead and look over here, we can see here that abortion rights are only 27.6% of people. So only 27.6% of people have abortion as their number one issue when it comes to the election. That's a bit interesting because up here we have immigration number one, inflation number two, economy and job market number three, and all of these go to Donald Trump by significant margins. All these people chose Donald Trump on these issues by significant margins, way more than Kamala Harris. And this is number 5, with just 27% of people saying that that's their biggest issue, or that's an issue they have on their mind. And yet, the people in this poll said that was their biggest issue. Not just on their mind, that was their biggest issue. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. Get out of here. I'm sorry, but no. Not gonna happen. This state will be going to Donald Trump by a likely margin. Do not get that wrong. It'll be a likely margin. That poll is the worst example, and is the best example of Democratic overestimation in this northeastern area. So no, I can't even help but not laugh at that. That is pure desperation from the Democratic side of this election. That is pure desperation at that point. So the state will clearly go to Donald Trump by a likely margin, maybe even more. We'll see. But this is not a state that is in any ways up for grabs for Kamala Harris. It is not going to. I can't wait for election night to see this state go red. I can't wait. I would love to see what these people have to say about this nonsense right here. So in one day, we got a New York Times poll for all the background states that turned out to be skewed, and they knew it was skewed, and they still released it. And we also got this poll that is somebody on crack. That's what this poll is, the example of somebody on crack, and how out of touch with the reality that they are. Listen. I want to be serious about this. I want to take this serious and give you guys a genuine prediction. This is so stupid I can't help but laugh at it. What you're seeing right here. So no, I'm done bothering with it. It's nonsense. It's not going to happen. This state is likely Republican. It will go to Donald Trump. Let's now go to Ohio. So here we go in Ohio. This is the state of Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance. He's from Ohio. And we can see here that this state is definitely on track to going to Donald Trump. In the newest poll we got, he leads by 9 percentage points, a full 9. That's a big deal. 9 percentage points will go to Donald Trump. And I just don't need to talk about it. I mean, every single poll has Donald Trump winning the state. Even Marist, which is a very, very left-leaning pollster, one of the almost as left-leaning as Bloomberg is, has Trump still winning by 6 percentage points in this state. Even the Hill and Emerson, again, left-leaning pollster, has Trump ahead by 10 percentage points. He leads in the polling by 7.1 percentage points. It's not gonna. This state is gonna be a likely Republican state. It might even be a double-digit margin likely Republican state. We'll have to just see. But there's just no competition. There's no competition from this state or this state. They're both likely Republican. Let's go to Minnesota. All right, guys. Here in Minnesota, we can see it's a similar story here once again. It's a state that should be strongly blue, but especially because Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, is from this state, Minnesota. But we can look down here, it's not looking good. Yes, she is winning in this state, at least in the polls, she is winning. But the newest poll we have has her ahead by just 3 percentage points, and the biggest poll we got, this is almost 2,000 people. That's a very, very good sample for a poll. Has her ahead by just 3 percentage points as well. Again, we have 8% here and 5% here, but this massive sample poll has it just 3%, and the newest one we got also 3 percentage points. That is bad. That is bad news for Kamala Harris. If she ends up losing the state that her running mate is from, this election is, again, I keep saying this, but it will be over if that happens. There are just so many ways for her to lose this election. And if that happens, she will lose this election if she loses Minnesota. Her running mate is literally from Minnesota, and she loses that state, it's over. But it could happen. I mean, Donald Trump has won states with worse margins before. In 2016, he won states like Michigan that he should have lost by 6 percentage points, and he still won that state. This state is only 4.8 percentage points. The newest poll says it's only 3. So he has won states with those kind of margins before. So we'll have to see if he can pull it off. It might not. It's probably not gonna happen. So I will be giving the state to Commerce by a lean margin. But again, the chance is there for that to happen. We'll have to see if it happens. It probably won't happen, but the chance is absolutely there. So pay attention on election night. It could get close. And don't forget, in 2016, he almost won that state. It almost went to him. He only lost it by 1.5 percentage points. So it got close in 2016. It's probably going to be close this time around too. So pay attention to Minnesota because it's getting pretty hot there as well. So pay attention. Let's go to New Hampshire now. And again, New Hampshire is another one of those states that earlier in this election we wrote off as simply being a Democratic state. Not anymore. Look at the margin. The margin has dropped once again. She now leads by just 3.5 percentage points. That is it. That's it for this state. 3.5. It dropped by almost like a full 1.5%. And you want to know why? It's because of UNH came out with this new poll. Look at the sample. Why is New Hampshire getting these amazing samples? 2,814? And according to that poll, she wins the state by 5 percentage points. But look down here. We go down here. UNH originally had her win by 11 percentage points. That was in September. I looked it up. Turns out that UNH is actually one of the most liberal pollsters in the entire country. Like, they might actually be among the most liberal in the whole country. And they had Harris win by a full 11%. But now, in their newest poll, it's just 5 percentage points. So that drop, they went from 11 to 5. That much of a drop. So if UNH, which is probably one of the most liberal pushers in the entire country, say that she's winning by just 5 percentage points, and they dropped that margin from 11 to 5, Donald Trump could absolutely win the state. Just look at the polling average, just 3.5. That's it. He could absolutely win this state. Rasmussen Reports has her ahead by just 1 percentage point. This one also says 5 percentage points. This state's gonna get competitive. And don't forget, 2016, Donald Trump almost won this state. 0.3, he lost the state by. That's it. This state could get competitive, and Donald Trump could win the state of New Hampshire. But for now, for the sake of being realistic, we are still going to give it to Kamala Harris by a lean margin. But again, just like Virginia and Minnesota, the chance is there. In fact, this is probably his best possibility. Either this one or Virginia are his best opportunity to flip one of these states, and we'll see what happens if he can flip either one of them or both or all three. But again, for the sake of realism, I'm going to give Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire to Kamala Harris by lean margins. But they could flip. The chance is there. So pay attention to those states on election night because we'll have to see what happens. Now we come to our final 3 states. The 3 states that are going to be the most important in this entire election. Let's start off with Wisconsin. So, as we were told today, as we found out today with this skewed New York Times poll, we're going to be forgetting about this poll and looking to see what Atlas says. And Atlas says Donald Trump is winning the state of Wisconsin by 1%. Marist, of course, says Harris is ahead by 2 percentage points. That's not a terrible poll, but Marist, of course, is very left-leaning. And with this CNN poll, it's absolutely horrible. We know how CNN has recently suddenly switched from being mildly left-wing to very left-wing, seemingly out of nowhere. And then now they have a poll like this, with Harris ahead by a full 6 percentage points, so this is ridiculous. And look, I said this in my last video. Why is the sample so small for CNN? You're telling me they couldn't get a better sample than that? CNN, as big as they are, this is the best sample they could get. That's one of the lowest samples on here. How is that possible? So no, this sample is horrible. This whole poll is horrible. That margin is ridiculous. 6 percentage points for Kamala Harris is not going to happen. Joe Biden, look at this. Joe Biden almost lost Wisconsin in 2020. He only won by 0.6%. He was supposed to win by 7% in the polling average. He was supposed to win by. He almost lost this state. If the Democrats are being overestimated anywhere near that margin, and now we have proof Democrats are still being overestimated because we have a poll from Iowa that says she's winning by 3 percentage points in Iowa. That state is one of the most red states that used to be blue on this map. So yes, the Democrats are still being overestimated, despite what we saw in 2020 and 2016. They're still being overestimated. We now have proof that they're still being overestimated. And again, we know this New York Times poll turned out to be dirty. It was a mostly Democratic poll, so this poll is no longer can be trusted. We know for a fact the poll was done so badly that it was literally a news story on Fox News how this poll was done so badly. In CNN, we know how they've suddenly gone from mildly left wing to extremely left wing, and this poll is horrible. 6 percentage points is not going to happen. It has not been that blue in such a long time, like years, if it ever was that blue, to be honest. And we know in 2020, we saw how it was. It seemed like it was it was real close. But the poll said 7% for Joe Biden, 7% for Joe Biden. Why didn't he win the state by that much? He only won by 0.6. It just goes to show you that this poll is completely botched, and that is not going to happen. We'll do that. Let's just see what Atlas says. Atlas says it's going to be up for a Donald Trump by 1 percentage point. If you cut these two polls out, he would still be ahead in the polling average. So this state of Wisconsin is going to be lean red for Donald Trump. Let's go to Michigan. Okay, now Michigan is a bit different here. Michigan is a bit different. We are getting a pretty good consistent number of polls that have Kamala Harris winning in this state. You can see here. Quinnipiac. Now, see here, this is the bad thing. These two polls are bad. Cut them out. This one I'm going to ignore because it's less than 500 people. It's only 400 people. That's it. That is a horrible poll. Not good. Cut this poll out. It's bad. Because that is just, if it's that few people, it's not a good poll. I explained in my last video that if the sample is that small, it's just not reliable. The number is just too small. You need to have a decent sized number to get an idea. And with 400 people, you're just not getting it. 500 is the bare minimum for how big a poll can be, and you can still listen to it. And even then, that's still pushing it. 400, no way. That's anything below 500 is bad. So cut that poll out. 400, no. Quinnipiac, very left wing, but that's a good sample. But Harris is ahead by 4 percentage points. Not true. That is not going to happen. She's not going by not going by that margin whatsoever. So I'm going to give it to her by 2 percentage points for this one. Cut this out. And Marist, that's a good sample. 3 percentage points, cut it in half. We know how terrible Marist is, and how bad and how much of a overestimation of Democrats that Marist is. In this New York, and looking up here, this New York Times poll, and just to show you how bad these polls are. Also, we have Bloomberg's poll down here somewhere. Get rid of Bloomberg. Bloomberg's bad too. Just cut them out as well. We know how horrible Bloomberg is. This New York Times poll, which we were literally basically told by Fox News, basically, to ignore this poll because it was skewed, and they knew it was skewed, and all that stuff I said earlier, all that stuff, and how bad this latest New York Times poll was, it still says that it's a tie in Michigan. So despite this, because we got all these major liberal polls that suddenly just came out and put the margin in her favor, Emerson, also left wing, still has Trump ahead by 1 percentage point in this state, and the Trump group still has Trump ahead by 1% in this state, and Atlas, the ones we were told to listen to, have Trump ahead by 2 percentage points in this state, which also has one of the largest margins out of all of the pollsters on here. The New York Times poll that we got, which we were told was bad because it was skewed in the favor of Democrats, as a tie. That means that Trump is winning the state according to this New York Times poll. So the information that we got today about this poll being a dirty poll and being bad really just changed everything from my last video. Not everything, but it changed a lot of what we were getting. Before, I was really iffy about Michigan, but now I think it will be going to Donald Trump by at least a tilt margin. Certainly going to be close. Certainly going to be close. No doubt about that. This is the most liberal state out of all the battleground states. It just simply is. So if Trump can win, that's great. He already wins. At this point, he already wins the election. But Michigan's going to come down to the wire. Still, I still think it will. But if Atlas says Trump is winning, and so does this left-wing poll down here, Emerson says he's winning, and in this New York Times poll that we were told was bad and dirty to ignore it, has it as a tie. It means it's actually, which means Trump is actually winning. I'm gonna give it to Donald Trump by a tilt margin. I'm trying to give you guys the absolute most accurate prediction I can possibly give you guys. So we'll see how right I am on election night. Really hope I'm close. I really hope that I'm not giving you bad information here, but trying not to. I can swear you guys down. I'm actually trying to give you a genuine prediction here. So Michigan is honestly the biggest toss-up I got in here. Let's just say I'm going to predict it could go either way. My official prediction: Michigan is a full toss. It could go either way. I think I'm just going to say it probably will tilt to Donald Trump. It could go Kamala Harris. So I would not be surprised if she won the state but lost Wisconsin. Just saying that right now. But in my mind, I'm thinking of Michigan as being a 100% toss up. Like, really, it's right smack in the middle. You don't know who's going to win that state, but we'll see what happens. But let's now go to our last state in the country, that is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, we got a similar story going on here in Pennsylvania. You can see we have a few polls here. This poll, gonna get rid of it because look, 469 people. Now that's just not good enough. Gotta be 500 or above, or it's not good. This poll by Marist, Marist is really bad, but that's actually their biggest sample on here. So I'll just take this down by a little bit, like to 1.5. I do give Marist credit on that because that's a pretty good sample right there. But the New York Times sample is even better, and that poll is turned out to be dirty. So we know Marist's poll is probably a little bit dirty too. So got to be careful on that. Washington Post, I'll listen to them. 1% is a good counter to Donald Trump's lead in this state. 1% does make sense. If there was a poll that said 7, 8, 9 percentage point, like Bloomberg or not Marist or Susquehanna, whatever, then yeah, that'd be bad. But 1 percentage point countering 1%, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. So this poll's good. This poll is just simply too small. Can't listen to it. And the New York Times poll that we got up here that says it's a tie. Again, remember that we were told that was a dirty poll, and Atlas, which we were told to listen to, which also has one of the largest samples on here. According to Atlas Intel, Trump still leads in Pennsylvania by 2 percentage points. So that means Pennsylvania is going to be a lean Republican state. In Quinnipiac, which is also bad, they're very left leaning. They're the only ones on here that has a larger sample than Atlas Intel, and they're left leaning. They're a left leaning pollster. They have Trump winning by 2 percentage points. So the New York Times poll, which actually admitted that it overestimated Democrats. They basically admitted it. There's a guy who knows them who said this. So the New York Times poll that we know for a fact overestimated Democrats has it as a tie, which means Trump's winning. Atlas has Trump winning, and this massive poll, which is left leaning, still has Trump winning. And CNN and CBS, very left leaning, has both of these have it as a tie. So Pennsylvania, unlike Wisconsin and Michigan, which are very close, Michigan is a straight up toss up as far as I'm concerned. I think maybe it will lean towards Donald Trump, but it's really just a straight toss up. Wisconsin, because we know we got two bad polls, I think Donald Trump is winning this state, but Pennsylvania is really the only one where you can really look at and say, yep, there's a clear lead for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. So it will be a lean Republican state. And with that, guys, this is your election. This is my second to last election prediction, and nothing has changed still. My prediction pretty much remains the same. Donald Trump will win with 312 electoral votes. So we'll see tomorrow how things change. Tomorrow will be, again, remember my mega final update. My final prediction for the presidential election of 2024. Presidential election of 2024 will be that, and tomorrow's gonna be the end. Probably will be the last one I make on this, and then after that, get out there and vote. If you haven't already voted early, get out there and vote in those polls. There's no reason not to. I encourage every single person out there to vote. There's no reason not to. Just do it. Flip a coin if you want to. If you don't know who to vote for, flip a coin. So get out there and vote. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the day. We're basically just 1 day away at this point. 1 day from election night. So let's do it. 1,000 subscribers before midnight. Let's do it. 1,000 subscribers. Remember, don't forget, go give that podcast a check out. That the Press Start to Begin podcast. Go listen to them if you like the history of video games. Go listen to them. And thank you guys so much for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.